So first of all, thank you all for joining us tonight for the Art of Advocacy presentation, assuring the rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I'm just going to do a couple of quick housekeeping rules. First, if I can get my screen to click, there we go. At Person-Centered Services, we always start with our mission, vision, and core values, whether it's an internal or an external presentation. So our mission is we connect people to the care, support, and opportunities that maximize their quality of life. We're a vision, we're a community where all people lead fulfilling lives, and our core values of people, integrity, and trust. Our agenda tonight, Max and BJ will go through why the Art of Advocacy, how we teach, what you will learn, how we teach successes, how to find an organization, and then next steps. I am Christy Moscato. I am the Community Relations Manager for the Western 8 counties of New York for Person-Centered Services. And behind the scenes, we also have Maria Kirkpatrick, who is our Provider Relations Manager currently for all 18 counties. Couple of quick, and one more quick thing I wanted to mention. We will be holding questions to the end. If you're like me and afraid you're going to forget what you want to ask, please put it in the question box, but we will be answering all questions at the end of the presentation. And without further ado, we are going to meet the guest presenters, Max Donatelli, who is a very strong family advocate who's been around for many years and is also, I'm proud to call my friend, as well as BJ Stasio, who's the Vice President of Self-Advocates of New York State, or SANIs, also one of my friends. And I am going to pop a PDF of the presentation into the handouts, and I will email it to everybody after the presentation. So with that, BJ, Max, it's all you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And we really appreciate it. And you know, certainly we, you know, welcome everybody this evening and appreciate you taking some time out to learn a little bit more about advocacy and the kind of things that BJ and I come up with the Art of Advocacy and give you kind of a flavor for, you know, what it's all about. As Christy mentioned, I'm a parent, and I'm our son, Joyce and my son, Craig Donatelli, is 35 years old. He has Down syndrome, and he lives in a self-directed living situation, and he is an advocate himself, and you know, which is real important because we really wanted Craig to become, you know, all he can be in terms of being an advocate. He also works in a competitive job at Explore and More Children's Museum, and he's very active in his community. And you know, with that, you know, that's a little bit about me. I've been involved with you know, with a variety of different opportunities as an advocate, and working with organizations like Parent Network, Person-Centered Services, and you know, and a variety of others, and you know, being able to work with legislators. And you know, it's really important for us to be able to have a network, which definitely helps a lot. BJ and I have been working together on the Art of Advocacy now for probably about the past 2 years. And BJ, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It originally started because when we talked about how to have people learn the art of advocacy, it originally started with my transition out of the president role at SANIs, because I was concerned about what the leadership of the future of the organization, which has taught me a lot, was going to look like, the Self-Advocacy Association. And we just felt that together that this would be a great way to teach what advocacy is. Now, there is no absolute right way to teach advocacy. It's basically learning to tell the story that belongs to each of you, to your elected officials, to those in power, or to those who work for you, like an agency or a care coordination agency, just to tell what you want and need, both those who receive services like myself and the family members that Max advocates with, and I also advocate with. And Western New York, I feel, has the best connected group of advocates in the state, and that's what we want for the rest of the state, because the more people we have at rallies, the less the elected officials can ignore all of our issues, because I can guarantee you some of our issues are very similar. It's just the stories are different, and the story belongs to each of us, and we need to know and feel comfortable with how to tell it. Because even though I tell everybody's story, when I talk, I tell my story, but it morphs into everybody's story. But I want those who haven't been able to tell their story to tell it.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important for us to be able to, really try to kind of pass along the information and the experiences that we've been able to get. And one of the things that we really thought was important, that many times trainings are kind of almost a one and done. You go to a workshop and that's it. With this, we're hoping and working with various organizations like Donnie, the Donnie Family Committee, Person-Centered Services, and other organizations, that we're really able to try to help these organizations be able to develop some mentors. And then by being able to develop mentors, we can then teach the newer folks that are brand new to advocacy how to become better advocates. And so that's a big part of what we're looking to do. Our mission statement that you can see in front of you here is that we teach and inspire people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, families, and allies to become more effective advocates in their own lives so that they can impact the larger systems in their own ways. And like BJ said, with their stories. Our vision, every person with an intellectual and developmental disability will live their best lives and be included in a community where they live, learn, play, and those that can, where they work. And so it's really important that we're able to really work together to be able to help lives be better and knock down a lot of the barriers that are there, help to increase funding, those kind of things that really need to be there for people to really live their best lives. BJ?
Yes, and this lady you see here, Judy Human, she just passed away on March 4th, and it was rather interesting that she passed away on that day, because her niece said, now we can go on March 4th in the honor of my Aunt Judy. And Judy, over the time when we met, we spent a lot of time together just talking on the phone, and her mentorship, just like Max's mentorship and everybody I've had exposure to, has meant a lot to me. And here is one of my favorite things that Judy said. I want to see a group of feisty disabled people around the world. If you don't respect yourself, and if you don't demand what you believe in for, it will never happen. You're never going to get it.
Right. And I'd like to say, this is, why the Art of Advocacy, but I think one of the things to explain a little bit too is that BJ and I are in Albany right now. And the reason we're at a hotel, and that's why this, a little bit of a makeshift screen that we have here, not totally professionally done, but we're doing what we can, because we really believe that this is something we want to share. But we're actually also going to be sharing this tomorrow, a similar presentation tomorrow with the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council for the Alliance, as well as for the ARCs, and in a panel for their Advocacy Institute. So we're really trying to, as much as possible, reach as many people that want to be able to hone their advocacy skills and become better advocates. That's really what we're trying to do. So why the Art of Advocacy? I mean, we started to talk about it but this tells a little bit more about why the art of advocacy. For years, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, families and allies have had to fight for their rights and their rightful places in their communities, just like BJ says with Judy Heumann. And we certainly would encourage, in terms of talking about Judy Heumann, is for people to watch Crip Camp. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but Crip Camp tells a little bit of how hard it was for those people in 30, 40 years ago to, which is not really that long ago, to really be able to get the kind of rights and privileges at the federal level, to be able to really help to start to ensure the rights of folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Landmark decisions at the federal level have come about only because advocates have been able to help assure their civil rights, and they are definitely civil rights. And we become effective advocates, but each person needs to have their own voice, whether that's a person with a disability or whether it's a family member or whether it's an ally.
Can you read that and I'll just comment?
Sure. Each person is unique. We all have different gifts. We all have different talents. The art of advocacy will allow you to learn at your own pace, and there is no timeline for completion. We all learn throughout life. Consider your life as a canvas. That's why the art. We each have the power inside of us to paint the picture the way you want it to look.
And it's funny when we talk about that slide for me, as I reflect, I'm working with a lot of people in my professional life in state operations for OPWDE, and this one guy I've known for over a decade, and I always tell him, to be the leader you want to be, you have to kind of just show that you are a leader, and it's very difficult to get him to see that he is a leader. And one thing I want to tell everybody on here tonight, you all can be a leader in your own way. You don't have to be a Max, you don't have to be a BJ, you don't have to be a Judy Heumann. You have to be who you are, and your life is a canvas and you can paint it however you want. One day it might be dark because you're in a dark mood, and the next day it might be light and bright and cheery, but that's up to you. But when you advocate for things you want, you really have to leave an impact on the elected officials. And that's the most important thing, because they make the law, they make the laws and the policies that happen within the systems that service us. And I'd rather we have a say than not. And this is something I said, Max, if you could read that, I'll
Sure. Sure. Yeah, but the print's a little bit smaller. So as the system, this is what BJ said, and this is part of the reason, as he started to mention, is why we helped to create this in the first place. As the system changes, I realized I needed to develop this way of life to help me work within the system that services me and make it better for others. And I wanted to share my knowledge, and that's BJ, and you can see the picture here.
And I have so much knowledge, I just wanted to share it and pass it on, because why hold it in and not share it? Now, my knowledge of advocacy isn't absolute, like I said before. It's all those people who have had exposure throughout my life and learned from and just listened to, and it's been great. And there you see Max and myself and Senator Mannion, and next to me there is Carrie Neifeld, and behind me is one of my bodyguards. I call my SDA staff my bodyguards when they travel with me, and that's her husband, the bodyguard driver, because I have a driver. And today I had two bodyguards with me, and they definitely look out for me and look out for my best interest, and they understand how important the work that I'm doing is. That's why we're all here, and that's what they understand. Max, this is yours.
Mhm. And the reason, again, coming from myself, is that my concern for the future for our son Craig, who I'd mentioned before, who's 35 and has Down syndrome, is that we don't have enough parents, family members, self-advocates, or allies adequately skilled in advocacy to make the system become more responsive and adequately funded. And that's really been my motivation for wanting to do this and for wanting to reach out to as many folks that are interested in becoming better advocates. And you can see the picture here of Craig and my wife Joyce, who's back in Western New York, as is Craig. And but that's, it's so important for us to be able to try to help improve the system, and we cannot do it by ourselves. And we really need to be able to get a lot more folks that want to become better advocates, and we'll talk more about how you can become a more effective advocate as we move along in this hour we have together. How we teach. There are laws on the books to assure people's rights to an education. For example, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA as it's called, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, and be included in their communities. The Olmstead decision, the Americans with Disabilities Act, these are landmark decisions. These are ones that were fought for, by advocates. However, advocates need to be educated on their rights. If you don't know, your rights under IDEA, if you don't know your rights under Section 504 while you're still in school or your loved one's still in school, then you're really not going to get the benefits, because you really have to be able to understand what those rights are, as well as living in the community. The Olmstead decision, and what that means, as well as the Americans with Disabilities Act, and those are important. And we really try to work to be able to show folks, what these rights are, and we have a toolbox that can really help you to better understand what those rights are so that you're more educated. However, advocates need to be educated on their rights and to find their voices, as BJ mentioned before, to help assure those rights.
Yes, because, the Americans with Disabilities Act is a law, but it's up to us to remind the elected officials that the law is on the books and you need to enforce it. And one of the things that I worked hard for, and so did a lot of people in the city of Buffalo, is to get an ADA coordinator / advocate, because the city had one for many years, and then when the person retired or left, they didn't fill the position, and we said we need a representative in city government to help us with our accessibility and access to our community. And the mayor was kind of hesitant, so I went to the Common Council and we got a resolution to force him to do it. Not that I'm his biggest fan or he's mine, but that's okay. The job got done. We got one now in the city of Buffalo.
And that was just this just recently, within the last couple months, that this really happened. And there was actually a flag raising, of the disability flag, and at City Hall, and actually the mayor actually allowed and said, let BJ present first, at the flag raising ceremony. And, because he's the one that had the effective voice that really helped to make that happen. It would not have happened, probably not this year, maybe not next year, if BJ didn't really push this particular issue. Okay, so in addition to services and accommodations need to be available, as funding and public policy needs to be adequate, because those things, they don't just happen. And we need to be working with our government officials. We need to be working with the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, with the agencies. And, we really need to make sure that we understand, what really needs to be there in order for folks to live their best lives. This requires people identifying their own personal needs and what it takes to live their best life, and that is so important to be able to identify exactly what those personal needs are and what kind of needs they are, so that you can then work with your circle of support, which we'll talk about, to be able to help to make that happen. And the Art of Advocacy offers resources for personal support, such as how to find your voice, how to tell your story, how to identify effective ways to live your best life, as well as how to become more effective in overcoming barriers, and how those that can do system advocacy. And not everybody can do system advocacy. We understand that. Doing system advocacy like BJ does, like I've been involved in doing, like my wife Joyce has, as well as Craig. Not everybody can be a system advocate. Not everybody necessarily can, sit down and talk to a legislator. But there are other things that you may be able to do, and those are the kind of things we're hoping to be able to help, coach organizations on, to be able to help you to become, a person, being able to personally advocate for yourself, and then maybe being able to advocate at the system level in whatever way that you may be able to do that.
And I just want to let everybody know, just because Max and I are system advocates doesn't mean we don't learn new and different things every day. We don't know absolutely what makes a great advocate. We learn as we go. Like, there are things I've done that I said, oh, I shouldn't have done that, but it always ends up coming out working some sort of way, because I always had a great team of people supporting me and going, well, maybe next time we should try this.
That's right. And how we teach, and the reason we wanted this to be more of a process and not just a kind of a one and done workshop, is that the Art of Advocacy is patterned after Taekwondo and karate. Instead of using belts, we use wristbands, and we encourage celebrating when someone moves up to the next level. Craig and I, my son Craig and I, took Taekwondo a number of years ago. And we went from white belt, all the way up through, and we were working on our black belt. Craig does not have physical disabilities, and it was something that was actually a very good learning situation for Craig as well as myself, and it was a nice bonding situation for Craig and I to do this. But really, when you learn something, and you also have other people that are kind of a little farther down the road than you, and they can also help to teach you as well. They may not be a mentor yet, but they may be able to help to support you in your advocacy journey. All new advocates start out with a white wristband, and a yellow wristband is earned by completing all the items on the checklist for that level. And what we'll do, and if we were in person, we have a white band right here. This is what they look like. And with the white band, it's really kind of a starting point, just like it is in Taekwondo. It's a starting point of somebody who really is interested in wanting to learn more about how to become a better advocate. Okay, and how we teach, and this is, the yellow band focuses primarily on personal advocacy, finding your voice, developing a trusted circle of supporters. And that is so important, because you really need to have a trusted people around you. If you're a person with a disability, it's important. If it's your loved one, you need to be able to help assure that your loved one has those people around him or her that are trusted, and being able to have those people help in that journey, being able to find out what your personal needs are, being able to help to find your own voice, as BJ mentioned before, as well as, being able to make sure that those people around you are important people and people that you can trust. As you gain in advocacy skills, you may transition into the higher band levels and doing system advocacy, but this may not be for everyone. And that's okay. As we mentioned before, some people may be able to stay at that yellow level, and that's okay. But we hope that there will be others, whether it's a person with a disability, a family member, or an ally, to be able to go up to the higher levels, because we do need more system advocates. The bands go from white to black, and black being the highest.
Yeah, there's the novice level. There's novice, speaks up for self, speaking up for others, recognized advocate, and the mastery level. And let me tell you something about the mastery level. When Max and I tested each other, it was hours and hours, and it probably was worse than any exam I ever took in college, because we were tough on each other, and we wanted to just make sure this was the best that we could offer the disability community, allies, families, because so many times advocacy has just been glossed over, that this is what you need to do when you meet with your elected officials. No, you actually need like mentorship to help you through these things, and that's what we realized, and that's why this is important. And we hope to see some of you at the rallies in the future. So instead of 20, it'll be 200 people, speaking and saying what they feel about policy and change, because change only happens with all of us. The system works for us. We don't work for it.
That's correct. That's exactly right. And just to clarify too, the novice is the white band level, speaks up for self is the yellow, speaking up for others, which then becomes more system advocacy, is the green. Being a recognized advocate in the community is red. And the master level is the black level, as BJ mentioned. And BJ really challenged me. I've learned so much more about being a more effective advocate by the things that I've learned from BJ in the process, because his disability is much different than Craig's, is much different than others' disabilities. And so, we really learn a lot from each other. It's being able to become more effective advocates. We do learn a lot from each other. I know I learn a lot from other family members, as well as other self-advocates and other allies. We learn from one another. We want to have this be a lifelong process. It is not just a kind of a one and done.
And reflecting on the trip here today, we were talking, since we had time on the way up, that we stayed at another hotel here in Albany when we were going to the rally, and you can see I have a disability. I use a mobility device. Max does not. We stayed at the same hotel, and they gave Max the accessible room and not me.
Yeah.
Now, usually I would be all over them like white on rice and saying, wait a minute, I had a disability. I should have the accessible room. But I took a deep breath and used it as an opportunity to educate. Yes, they didn't know that Max and I knew each other. We were going to switch anyway, but I wanted to use it as an opportunity to take them in the room and educate them on what accessibility really is. And they were really open to changing things. I should go by and see if they did change anything I suggested, but at least I used it to educate. Yes, I was annoyed, but sometimes in annoyance, you need to take the opportunity to educate too.
That's right. This teachable moment was really great to see that. So what you will learn, what you will learn, I'm hearing some background noise. Okay, what you will learn. What you will learn with the Art of Advocacy is engage initially in a baseline conversation and doing that with a mentor, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it's not a test, it's not an assessment, it's just baseline conversation about advocacy. Each interested person gets a white band and a checklist to follow. We have rubrics, checklists for each one of the band levels. In most situations, a seasoned advocate will work alongside of you to help coach you on each of the items. Once the items are checked, you will be tested by a seasoned advocate. When successfully completing these requirements, you will be promoted to the yellow band level. You can then start to complete requirements for the green band level or continue to learn to be the best advocate for yourself and getting your best life, and that's okay. Not everyone, as we mentioned, can do system advocacy.
And one thing I want to stress throughout this band level, if you move up to a band level, if you become a yellow or a red or, you know, whatever color, even if you become a black and you meet somebody who's still at a white, that doesn't mean they're a better advocate than you. It means we're all equal and working on it together.
It's a lifelong learning kind of a thing, and we want to be able to help bring everybody up to become more effective advocates, whether it's for themselves or whether it's for themselves as well as system advocacy as they can do it. We have a Art of Advocacy toolkit that's going to be continuing to grow. Band level checklists, I mentioned that for each one of the band levels, there's a there's a checklist, how to order wristbands, how to have an advocacy agreement and mentor support, and we'll be working with different organizations to help with this. We encourage people to read Credo for Support, and that's something that that we can share at a later point. Watch Crip Camp, which is on YouTube. It's free on YouTube right now. And that information can be shared through person-centered services, and that is something that we would encourage people to kind of start out their journey. To start, we recommended learning how to tell your story, and we have resources to help people to be able to learn how to tell their story. Working with your mentor, we will provide additional resources geared to your own situation. More important to this, to your motivation and learn and the knowledge, is the experience of your mentor. And again, we'll be working with organizations to help develop people who can become really good mentors to support folks. It may be some of you that may be those folks that may be the mentors to really get started. And a friendly reminder, everybody learns at their own pace, as we've mentioned, and the resources might have to be different based on your needs as a new advocate.
Yes, we are working with People Incorporated. They've been a great partner. Person-Centered Services has been, and thank you for allowing us to do this tonight, even though it's not in the setting we're usually in. But as advocates, we're used to adapting all the time. OPWD state-operated IRAs, which is my professional job back home in Western New York. The ARC of New York. New York Alliance of Inclusion and Innovation, Best Self Peer Support.
And how to find an organization, and this is where we're really trying to work and try to spread this as much as we can. We have been working with those organizations that we mentioned. Actually, 2 of them are going to be involved tomorrow, along with the Developmental Disability Planning Council, the Alliance for Inclusion and Innovation, as well as the ARCs are going to be co-sponsoring what we're going to be presenting at tomorrow all day. And so we're hoping to be able to really help those organizations be able to work with us so we can help to develop more mentors, thus allowing us to be able to get to more folks that are really new to this. If interested, you can see if the organization that you are receiving services from is working with us or is willing to start to work with us. We're available to help you connect and get started. Okay, next steps, and again, this is something that, we're really hoping again to kind of spread the word here. Once again, the Art of Advocacy is not a program. Really specific, it is not a program. This is a way of life. What we're trying to do for BJ and myself, advocacy is really a way of life for us. I mean, it's something that we've, been able to be doing for many years. And we're really trying to help to bring new folks in, younger folks into this so that they can learn to become effective advocates in their own ways, as BJ said. You're not going to advocate the way that BJ does or the way that I do. It's going to be being able to do it the way that you do it. We are all the paintbrushes, and we paint the canvases of our own lives. So again, whether that's a person is with a disability or whether that's a family member, helping that person or an ally, we need to support one another, other advocates, and those that can advocate for themselves. And there are others that can't advocate for themselves. As you probably know, they may need to have their family members or allies to be able to help them, as well as we also want to pull in the direct support professionals as well as the allies. The direct support professionals, and actually we've had one of BJ's bodyguards, as he calls them, that's been part of our think tank early on in developing this, because the direct support professionals, they need to be working alongside of us and helping us, and they need to be, helping to educate on the kind of things that they need too, because we need to be able to support them, because many, as you probably know, many of them are not appreciated. They're not getting the kind of wages and the kind of support that they need financially. And that's a big part of our motivation in working with the legislator, the governor's office, as well as OPWDD. It takes many voices to make systems change, and we want to help you be part of that. We are working with a number of organizations that can help support you, learning more about the Art of Advocacy. And we want to thank you now for your time and to help you become a resource and helping you to get started. We really want to be a resource and helping that and working with organizations that hopefully will then be able to help you. So with that, BJ.
Yes, and thank you very much for your time. And if there are any questions, we will take them now. And no question is a wrong question. The only wrong question is an unasked question. So now is your opportunity to ask us questions. So if there are any, please ask.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello?
Yep.
Hi, go ahead.
I have a question for BJ.
Yes, Andy, I recognize that voice. How you doing, dude?
Hi, buddy. Where are you, in Albany?
Yes, I am.
We're
What-
coming up there.
Good. What's your question?
My question is, you did a great job.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's nice to have you here, and I hope you took stuff away because you are a good advocate, Andy. You just gotta believe in yourself.
I do believe myself. I'm going to get a yellow belt this year.
I hear that.
Yellow bracelet.
Wonderful. That's great.
Somebody's saying they
Yeah.
emailed a question and a comment, and I'm going to have to go check my email to look for it. So give me a second here.
Sure. Yeah. And if we were doing this in person, again, each one of you would get a white band, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. We can't send the white bands virtually, but at least know that at this point, you're somebody that, is at least on a beginning journey. And some of you may be farther down the road than others. Like Andy, it sounds like Andy's, is an advocate. And like BJ says, you really do need to believe in yourself, because you can be a more effective advocate the more that you believe in yourself.
Okay, I found the question from Shannon. It says, if a person does not qualify for services through person-centered services, but still need supports in different areas of life, is there a list of providers that can assist in similar aspects? Many people who receive services through Access VR don't really have much support and don't know where to get help. Thank you for taking the time. And Shannon, I know I can say, you know, in like the Western New York area, there's Parent Network of Western New York, who is a great organization who can link and refer you to different programs. There's Starbridge out of the Rochester area that does very similar work to Parent Network. I mean, Max and BJ, you guys must have a million places, right?
Yeah, the Western New York Independent Living Center is also another one that, you know, they can be helpful for those that kind of fall between the cracks in some ways.
Yes, and you could always reach out to OPWDD to see if they are eligible, because eligibility criteria is changing like the weather changes. So you might.
Amen to that.
Mhm. Yep, exactly. And I think the other thing too is that even with a more effective or a more accurate assessment, sometimes somebody will be able to qualify if they get rejected the first time. So that is something that, you know, that can be done, especially with somebody that may be skilled enough to be able to help to, you know, to be able to show that you know, disability is truly a developmental disability. It really needs the support.
And as I've always said publicly about services, don't think about your best day. Think about your worst day when you are going to need services. Like when I talk about myself, I might be having a good day when they assess me for something, but I'm always sure to talk about my worst day, because I am going to have those, and that's when I'm going to need the services the most.
Yep, that's a really good point, BJ. So that Shannon's comment was, people who attend day services and are not employed tend not to know about a supported employment or YALT, or never had the opportunity to explore options. She would like to just share that it's very important for everyone to be aware of those options and have opportunities. When someone has a life plan meeting, no matter if they are employed, not employed, attending day services, staying at home, etc., they should be given the opportunity to discuss these areas. You are right, Shannon.
Absolutely.
Agree. Totally agree.
Okay, Sujit, I see you unmuted yourself. Did you want to ask your question?
Sujit, yeah,
Yes.
good to hear from you, Sujit.
Same here. It's good to see you, and good to see you, BJ. You did a great job. I just want to say thank you. You spoke up very well, and hopefully we'll meet up in person again. So
That's cool. I look forward to it.
We want to do that, Sujit. We met together, as you know, and we definitely like to be able to work on getting your yellow band. You've already gotten the white band, Sujit. Now it's time for you to be able to work towards getting that yellow one too, okay?
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
While we wait to see if there's any more questions, I'm going to just zip through these last couple of slides here.
Can I ask
access.
Go Sorry,
right ahead.
I have my hand. I don't know if you can see my hand raised, but so.
Oh, now I do, Marlene. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. So I do work with person-centered directed. My son goes to a day hab program. He's 33 years old, but even for me, it's extremely overwhelming to understand the services he receives. So I thought this was great. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this presentation for us and giving us context. But how do we move through to get more information for ourselves? Because I know that all the agencies out there are overwhelmed with cases, and it's hard for them to get back to you. Sometimes they wait days, weeks to get an answer on something. I just need to understand, like, what is out there for me, and where can I go to get some answers or do some research on my own?
Well, I think one of the best places to go, and it's an organization that you know is near and dear to my heart, is Parent Network of Western New York. Christy also was there as well, and it's an organization that has a lot of workshops on a lot of those different areas, and you know, so that's at least one of the places, you know, that you can turn. It's parentnetworkwny.org. So that is another place that you know that can help you. And actually through your care coordinator, really, they should also be able to help to find where some other resources are too, because there are other organizations. We have a Donny family group, family committee. Also, we actually had somebody come in from New York City last night that is a lobbyist for Donny, Developmental Disability Alliance of Western New York. She came in and presented to parents last night, as well as some people with developmental disabilities, and helping us become more effective advocates. So we even learned some things last night. So our Donny Family Committee, that's something we'll make sure the Person-Centered Services does have Kevin Pemberthy's contact information, because he's the one that signs up family members, for our Donny Family Committee. So that's another one that is very helpful.
They're a great organization. And if you want, I can go back to the slide that has my contact information. I'm Christy Moscato at the top. You can email me too, and we can connect, and I can send you some resources as well. As Max said, I worked at the Parent Network for 10 years, and I'm also the parent of a 17-year-old with developmental disabilities. So I'll help in any way I can as well.
Oh, thank you, Di. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I want to move through my belts here. I'm at white right now, right? White, because I said
You're at white.
That's right. That's right.
And we will, once, we do the editing of the video, this as well as the handouts. And I apologize, when I tried to PDF the handout, when I stop sharing my screen, I'll do it real quick and stick it in there, but I will be emailing all of those out early next week, probably, because we have an all-day event tomorrow. But be on the lookout for that. But we also have archived webinars on our website. This series is called an engagement series that we're doing, and we did one a couple of months ago about telehealth and care coordination, what you need to know. We also have some upcoming regional webinars that my counterpart out of Rochester and I do that are coming up in the future. So be on the lookout of those. I keep going backwards. Please connect with us on all our social media. You can get to it just by scanning those QR codes, and that will get you linked to us, and you'll be able to see everything we're doing and everything we're promoting. We share information not only about our events, but other events as well. So be on the lookout for that. And we always appreciate your feedback, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if you would please, tell us what we can do better, or send us suggestions for ideas that you have for our engagement series or for future topics we can do. You can scan that QR code to get to a Survey Monkey again. And then when you submit it, it comes right back to us. I will stop sharing my screen now. Anyone else can continue to ask a question if you have it. And, and then while you're doing that, I will PDF the PowerPoint for you and stick it in the handouts there.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
I have a question. Okay, so all that information went through my head.
Well, Andy, sometimes you have to let you slow down and keep the information you want in your head, because I know you have a lot of things you're thinking about, but you have to kind of focus when you're an advocate and take in the things that you want to take in. So don't worry about if you didn't get any of it today. You'll get the PDF. You can review it at your leisure, and you always know where to reach out to me. So just ask me a question later if you have one, because you are a good advocate. So just relax and be who you are, Andy.
Thank you, BJ.
No problem.
And another resource too, also, and I think we mentioned that, and we'll make sure that the contact information is there, is Self-Advocates of New York State.
Yes.
That BJ is very much involved in, is on the board. And so that's another resource as well. Sophia Roberts is the regional coordinator. And so that's another resource as well for folks that want to become more effective advocates.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, I'm checking for questions. I'm not seeing any. I'm gonna go
Nope, I
back.
don't see any either.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if there's any more hands raised. Let me see here. Oh, there is. Lisa, go ahead. Oh, she says she may have missed this within the presentation, but what is the cost? Hang on, let me expand it here so I can see it. Sorry, it
What is
shrunk
the
it on my
cost of
screen.
the Art of Advocacy?
There you go.
Okay. Right now, what we're doing is we're working with organizations like People Inc., like, other organizations that we've been starting to work with. Some of them we mentioned already, and we're looking to get to other organizations. What we'd ask you to do is, whatever organization that you may be receiving services from, we can start to work with those organizations, and it really shouldn't be a cost to the person that wants to be an advocate. It should not be a cost to the family member, or it should not be a cost to the ally. It really should be the organization, if they want to take this on, and we really want to encourage organizations to work with us, that it's something that, this is something we're doing is because we really want to try to get, as BJ mentioned, at a rally, rather than having just 20 of us there, we have 200 of us. It gets more attention from the legislature, from the governor's office, from, the media. And, so we really want to try to get more advocates and folks that really want to get out there and really help to change the system. So there would not be a cost to this.
No.
Great question, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were all great questions, great comments. Well, with that, I don't see anything else in the chat. Or I don't see any more hands raised. So we really thank everybody for your time with us tonight, for spending this beautiful evening. Who knows how many more of these we have left. Thank you so much, Max and BJ, for spending the time and, with us while you're in Albany. Good luck tomorrow. I know it will go fabulous. And, be on the lookout for, the handouts. I did put the PDF in the chat. If you go to handouts, you should be able to click on it and download it right there. If you're unable to, you will get it in an email in the next few days. Give me a few days and we'll edit the video and we can send that out. But please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Contact myself, Max, BJ, Maria, any of us, and we're all happy to help you in any way that we can. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Christy, Maria, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
We
Bye-bye.
appreciate you. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Great job.
And I
Thanks.
gotta stop it. They did great.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Hello. I'm so sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had one other question, but I didn't want to disturb everybody if people had general questions. Do you guys have a minute? I wanted to discuss something with you.
Yeah, we got till 6, sure.
Okay, it'll just take a minute. So just recently, you know how they had the DD Day in Niagara Falls, and this was my first opportunity where I don't know who told me about it, but previously I never really heard about it, and so I was told the vendor part of the day was free. So I go in, and unfortunately it was not free. And I work for People Inc. And so thankfully I saw somebody that I've known for years. She's amazing. She gave me a bracelet just to go into the vendor section. But I'm thinking like, first, like, and I know that it's nonprofit and everything, and there's things that you need to earn money to put on this huge thing for the day. But I noticed that like the price was like so high, and maybe it's all the time, but I don't know who organizes these things, but things are so expensive these days. And I was thinking if things were reasonably priced or free at a certain degree for the public, I think that it would allow a lot more people to come. I don't know if you guys have encountered it, but thankfully I was able to go into the vendor section, but I'm like $30, $40, $50. I'm like, that's a lot for somebody.
Well, I am on the committee, one of many things. And Person-Centered Services was an awesome sponsor. And yes, I agree it was too expensive for people.
Yeah.
I wish they could bring down the prices next year because you would bring more, that would bring more
Yes.
schooling and more students, the future of what the system is going to look like. Maybe that's some feedback you can send to, let's see, how do we get
She
the,
could send it to either Christy or myself.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
make sure it gets to the committee.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it gets
Thank
to,
you.
and Alan is on the committee too. Alan, who was on here, is on the committee too.
That's
so.
right. And I think I definitely agree. And there may be ways to be able to do scholarships or something like
And
that.
they did offer scholarships to people where they would get a free, I don't want to get in for free if they couldn't afford it because they don't want to turn anybody away because this is their opportunity to find out about services and network with people they haven't seen. So, and there was a lot of, I'll be honest, there was a lot of nobody's fault here. There was late information being disseminated about this event. It's usually done earlier and on time. I'll be sure to bring that up at the next committee meeting. I think they are aware that there was some faults in the way it was broadcasted out, not even Sandy's got the information that they needed to tell people. So it wasn't just you, it was people I deal with all the time. So that'll be feedback that the committee will get from
Thank
me.
you. I'll
Alan,
definitely, oh, sorry. I'll definitely write Maria and you, BJ, maybe an email just explaining my situation as a DSP. And there were so many others that were in my department that wanted to go, but people ain't only bought so many tickets. And then when I got there, I told everybody, I'm like, no, it costs money just to go into the vendor. So it's, I don't know, you just really think about it. You're like, if it was free or maybe $10 for a certain area of
If
the
you wanted
event,
to just do
so
the
many,
vendor, yeah.
yeah, educating people, open it to the public more, and so that's all. But this was amazing. This was really meaningful for everybody, even if you're a caregiver to a person who's receiving services. Thank you very much. So
Thanks,
Thanks for your
Shannon.
question. Great
yeah.
question.
no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a nice night, and I'll reach out to Maria and BJ.
Great. Oh, sorry.
Thank
There goes my dog.
Oh, okay. Now, how do I close this? Just the X or?
I'm going to end
Okay.
the webinar right now as my job is going crazy. I
Okay.
apologize.
All right.
Have a good
Bye.
night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.